So you have to understand, and Michigan fans are growing tired of me, and I understand that. Like this, I've done their game for 3 straight weeks. I'm going to do it again. I've got Penn State this week. Great game. Can't wait to talk about that one on Thursday's episode. Make sure to download that one as well. This Michigan team has to be evaluated through the lens of playing Ohio State in the last week of the season. I'm sorry, but that's just the cross you're going to have to bear. So if you did not have that lens, I think that you would just sing the praises of Michigan. But the fact remains is that they're going to have to deal with Ohio State at some point. So what do we know about Michigan? Where are they strong? Where are they weak in light of who they have to play at the end of the year? Now, granted, they beat Michigan last year, they beat Ohio State last year, and more power to them. And they did a few things really well that day in particular. They tackled really well, they got after the quarterback really well, and they ran the rock. And those are things that they're going to have to do again to Ohio State if they want to beat them again this year in the horseshoe. But as it stands, this team currently was a team tied at 10 at the half with Indiana. They looked really sloppy on Saturday. I do want to give them a not a full pass, but certainly a nod of understanding for what happened on the sidelines. And this was one of the scariest moments I've ever had as a broadcaster. Gus and I were standing up there, and we see a giant commotion on the sideline. And our cameras immediately, we're all talking in the break to each other on the headsets, our cameraman, our director, our producer. And Chuck, our producer, says a coach is down on the Michigan sideline, and we immediately are trying to see well, who is it? And we could kind of see that it was Mike Hart. We didn't know for sure, but it looked as if it was Mike Hart. And Mike Hart had a seizure on the sideline during the game in the commercial break, and it was really scary. It was really scary, and I could see the worry and the anxious thoughts written all over the face, in particular of his players, Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. Mike Hart is the running back coach at Michigan. And so they came out and just from that point on until they went in at halftime, they just weren't themselves at all. At all. And you know what? That's understandable because it's so rare in a football game. See, when a football player puts his helmet on and when you run on that field, it really is a different world. You definitely enter a different headspace in which the worries and cares of real life fade away. And there are moments during games when those real world issues and cares and influences can smack you right in the face and jar you back to reality. And that was one of those moments. And I certainly recognized it during the game. And it certainly can be one of the reasons why they struggled in the first half. And I'm not looking for hey, you got to have an excuse for this or that. It's not an excuse. It's just the reality of what went on that day. Now, having said that, they came out in the second half and played great. Played absolutely great football. There's a couple of things that Michigan's got to get better at here moving forward in the next couple of weeks. They've got to find a way to open up the play action pass. Okay? Their passing game is way too static, and there's not enough creativity in it. They're either running the football or dropping back and pass. There's not enough run action pass. By run action, I mean full flow with the quarterback getting out of the pocket. Play action pass, setting up in pass protection with a big, heavy run play fake, trying to put the third level players in conflict and running past them. You can't just expect to throw the ball down the field with straight drop back pass all the time. Okay, it's too hard to put the third level player in conflict. It's too hard to create the space necessary. You've got to give your quarterback, a young quarterback, who, by the way, that's the only thing he struggled with is throwing the ball deep down the field. You got to give him some bunnies down the field, some easier throws down the field. It can't always be a 50-50 ball in a straight drop back sense. So they've got to get more creative trying to get the ball down the field. And I think that they need to do that in play action pass. On the other side, their defense has shown some real signs of growth and development, in particular when they are able to rush the passer. I like Mike Morris a lot on their edge. I like Yabioki a lot. And when they get you in a spot where you're one-dimensional, not all that dissimilar from USC, although they're much better stopping the run than USC. But when they get you to a point that you're one-dimensional and all you can do is throw, when you've got an obvious down situation, they're a threat. They're really dangerous. And we've seen that the last 2 weeks, and that's been developing now. And that's what Penn State's going to have to avoid, because the pass rush, when they're allowed to dominate, has dominated. So that's Michigan in a nutshell.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here. College football on Fox.